Greetings everyone and welcome to CGTN's annual coverage of the Great Migration, the world's largest overland animal migration. And we are once again on the banks of the famous Mara River that inhabits hippopotamus herds and crocodiles. Again, we are going to be live from this position for 3 consecutive days as we bring you every bit of action from the Masai Mara National Reserve, but we are going to have it bigger and better this year to cover not just the migration but other wildlife habitats across Kenya. I am Jerry Owili.
And I am Penina Karibe. Such a special occasion to be here, bringing you live coverage not just from the Masai Mara National Reserve, as my colleague here, Jerry, said, but we're also going to be live from the Amboseli National Park. It is known as the home of the elephants. We're also going to be live from the Samburu National Park. We have a very unique set of animals only found in that national park, at least when we talk about Kenya. And we're also going to be live from Lake Bogoria. That is where we have a significant population of flamingos, and it's actually quite special because we haven't had flamingos there, Jerry, for quite some time. So it's actually a very exciting moment to talk about Lake Bogoria and the flamingos there as well. So very, very exciting for me to be here, Jerry. We've done this, you and I, several times, and I'm just wondering, does it ever grow old on you?
No, it does not. I would not say it ever gets old. The feeling of excitement never fades with every visit to any of the parks within Kenya. Remember, Kenya hosts more than 30,000 different species of mammals, birds, and terrestrial animals. So there is so much that you can see. And every single visit that you will ever make to one of these parks, whether it's the Masai Mara National Reserve where we are in, whether it's the Lake Bogoria National Reserve where we have our cameras planted, whether it's the Samburu National Park where we also have other cameras planted, or all of the other more than 30 national parks that are under the patronage of the Kenya Wildlife Service, you're going to get very different and interesting bits of animal action. And of course, even if it's just one species that you see every single time, very different experiences.
Exactly. You know, you mentioned earlier that we are right on the banks of the famous Mara River, and I just want to remind our viewers that every so often they'll hear some noises, some grunts, sometimes maybe some squeals. Those will be the hippos you'll be hearing. We have quite a huge herd over here, actually in 2 places, and it's interesting, Jerry, because I came here to watch the sunset yesterday evening and I witnessed a really amazing spectacle. There was a bull on that side right behind you in the river and another one just behind me, and the two had a standoff, you know, a face-off, because they came and sort of met in the middle and they were making these grunts, you know. It was quite interesting because I was just waiting to see, is there going to be a fight between these two? But I figure, and you know, another thing I noticed was that there was another one that came right behind from here. It was following the dominant male. But then that dominant male came out of the river on the other side of the bank, and you know, it pooped and was sort of making a movement like wagging its tail and spraying, you know, the poop all over the place. And I was very curious to see, or rather to know, what that meant, because I noticed then the other bull sort of retreated, you know. So very many special experiences we're going to have here in the wild as well, talk to you about them, but also we want to make you part of this experience because we will have a great lineup of guests. We want to have you in the conversations. We want to hear what questions do you have. We want to know what experiences have you had in the wild, if it's here in Kenya or other parts of the continent. Please talk to us about those and we can all just, you know, get to chit chat about that, Jerry. So how do we make them part of this experience?
So we want you to engage us throughout the hour that we are going to be here with you, of course, Penina and myself, and we're also going to be involving, as she has mentioned, some very specially lined up guests that are knowledgeable about wildlife, about ecosystems, about as well the animals that inhabit the different parks that we have since mentioned. So we are going to have you engage us on our social media platforms, and that is X, YouTube, TikTok, as well as Facebook. So you can just send your comment directly on below this live stream that is going to be happening from now all through to 3 hours from now. So engage us, and if you do not want your comments to go public, remember you can drop us a direct message across all those platforms. But right about now, as we begin honestly this coverage of the 2025 Great Migration, we have been privileged earlier to host the President of Kenya, that is His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. And he had a special message, not just for us, but for you, our viewers. Please take a listen in.
It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the world to witness this miracle of life unfold, life from magical Kenya. Thanks to our visionary partners from China Media Group, we are here today to showcase our best. Your collaboration in bringing this spectacle to millions of viewers around the globe is not just a special broadcast. It is a bridge between nations and a symbol of friendship between Kenya and China, and a joint declaration of nature's breathtaking power. Our partnership with China, and particularly with China Media Group Africa, echoes this same philosophy that progress and conservation can go hand in hand together. Through the Belt and Road Initiative and other frameworks, Kenya and China are not only building roads and ports, but also building trust, understanding, and shared responsibility for the planet we all call home. Today's historic broadcast is a powerful reminder that what is possible when vision meets partnership is phenomenal. It is also a call to the world to travel with purpose, to preserve what is precious, and to pass on a healthier planet to future generations. To our friends across China, and to all watching around the world, I invite you to explore our treasures from the thundering hoofs of the Masai Mara to the calm shores of our coast, from snow-capped peaks to sunlit savannas. Kenya is open, radiant, and ready to share her soul with the rest of the world. Finally, and with deep appreciation, it is now my honor to declare the 2025 Great Wildebeest Migration Global Live Coverage officially open. Asante, sheshe, and thank you very much.
Very well. That is the President of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, also just capturing the importance of such collaborations as China media groups with wildlife authorities to just bring you some of this footage from the great wildebeest migration and, of course, from the very rich wildlife heritage that Kenya has. But we have so much that is lined up for you starting now onwards. We have a very interesting conversation we have lined up for you starting now, a very interesting guest who's vastly knowledgeable on matters wildlife, on matters conservation, and is a very big, passionate mind on ensuring that animals that are in existence at this very moment are able to still be in existence beyond the generation that we currently live in. Dr. Paula Kahumbu, welcome to the set.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for having us. So I just want to begin in a very light manner. What is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal, and I don't know how I chose it, is the otter.
Oh.
Did you know that have you ever seen an otter?
I have, yes.
Okay, great.
Vicious.
Well, no.
It is.
Otters are amazing. They are very slinky animals that live between land and water. So in many cultures, they are considered somewhat mythical because they live in two different realms. But they're also very important predators. They are top predators in the water.
They are.
And they're just so lovely. And they're very family oriented. They really take care of their pups very well. They have so many things about them. To me, they look like kittens. I love them.
Very well. I was not really expecting that, considering the amount of work that you have done in the African savannah and the amount of work that you have done with elephants. You have done so much with elephants. And, well, the otter is your spirit animal. But where does the elephant rank among your favorite animals?
It's going to be very hard for me to tell you I have a favorite. I love elephants. I love monkeys. Have you ever watched baboons? They're amazing. Yes. So interesting. I also love elephants and lions, cheetahs, leopards, you name it. I think it would be very unfair to choose one. Even the wildebeest, as much as people think they're ugly and stupid, they're amazing. They're really fascinating.
Nice. I'm very, very eager to listen into some of the insights that you're going to be dropping for us. And we come here at a very special time when the migration is happening, and right now the animals are crossing over from Serengeti National Park in Tanzania, coming into the Masai Mara National Reserve in Kenya. I want you to just explain for me very briefly what really happens with the Great Migration.
So the Great Migration is like a clock. It's been going for thousands and thousands of years. The wildebeest dropped their calves in southern Tanzania earlier in the year, around April, and they start moving. At a certain point in time, something shifts, and their genetics tells them time to go. Usually it's related to water and pasture. The wildebeest are very sensitive. They need water for their calves so they can have milk, but also a lot of pasture to feed these calves. We're talking of 1.5 million animals, so you can imagine more than 500,000 calves are born. So they move with the rains, and they basically follow the rains. But they also move with the other animals. And as you've seen, the wildebeest arriving in Kenya first are the zebra, like hundreds of thousands of zebra. And the wildebeest are coming right behind them. So the wildebeest are moving towards the rain, and the zebras are also tracking the zebras, but they are ahead of the wildebeest. The zebra are like horses. They eat rough grass. So this tall, long grass you see here in the Masai Mara, that is the favorite of the zebra. The wildebeest are like cows. They like that lush green grass. So they need the zebras to mow down the long grass for them to benefit. Predictable, but it's also incredibly unpredictable in that nobody knows which date it will start. Nobody knows which day they'll go back. Sometimes they cross and go back and cross and go back. So we don't know exactly what is happening. And this is what's so magical about this ecosystem. There's so much more to study, so much more to learn. There's all these secrets that these animals have. And we think we're the most intelligent animal on earth, and yet we can't even understand something that has been happening for millennia. We still don't understand it in full detail.
Thank you. And so you capture the wildebeest and the zebras that sort of take charge and lead the migration. But just help me understand, what are the numbers like?
Wow. Well, and also don't forget, there's a lot of gazelles, which also come, hundreds of thousands of gazelles. The numbers are phenomenal. It's almost mind-boggling. I don't even know how to put it into context. 1.5 million wildebeest currently in this migration, and numbers are increasing. There's about 200 to 300,000 zebra, and many people have been sending me reports like the numbers of zebras in the Masai Mara right now. We've never seen numbers like that in recent years. And then with the smaller antelopes, the gazelles, probably around 300,000. Yeah.
Thank you. So there's gazelles, there's impala, there's zebras.
The impalas are not migrating, but the gazelles are. And this is the largest migration in the world in terms of numbers. If you think of the biomass of all these animals moving like one huge lawnmower across from Tanzania, 800 kilometers in this huge migration. It's a phenomenal thing. It's no wonder it's in the Guinness Book of Records.
That's quite a number that you give me. But then again, there are also other animals that are involved in the migration. Some of their counterparts, some of their colleagues that are actually residents of both the Serengeti and the Masai Mara. So what really happens? What makes these ones not join their colleagues while during the migration?
Oh, so you're talking about the wildebeest that never go?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really amazing. There's been some incredible research where they put radio collars on the wildebeest to see what's happening. Some wildebeest in Kenya never go on the Serengeti migration. They just stay. And it's almost like the species is hedging its bets. If some of us stay and those guys who go get killed, or they have some problem with climate change or something, at least there'll be some left behind. But we also have another sub-migration from Kenya to the Loita Hills, from Masai Mara to the Loita Hills. That's a totally independent migration, which is happening on a different level. And in that migration, the topi go with them. The topi don't go to Tanzania. They do like a small dispersal within Kenya. So some of these animals are genetically switched on or off to migrate or not to migrate. And again, nobody can tell you which one is going to do what.
So you mentioned that the wildebeest they birth their calves in southern Serengeti, and then once they are old enough or strong enough to start the migration and the time is right, they move towards the Masai Mara National Reserve. How long do they stay within the Masai Mara National Reserve, and what determines the period of that stay here?
So first, when the babies are born, It's one of the most precocious species on Earth. They get up and start running around within hours. I mean, imagine a human baby. We're like stumbling around and crawling for a year or two, right? But wildebeest babies can get up and move within hours. They're quite amazing. And within a couple of weeks, they can start the migration. And they all drop at more or less the same time. All the babies come out at the same time. When they move into Kenya, they will stay here from around July and August, September, October. They'll start moving. You'll notice some will move very quickly. Others will say, you know, it just depends on what the nutrition is like, what's happening with the grasses, what's happening with the rains. They need water. The Mara River, as muddy as it looks, is a very, very important source of water for the wildebeest. There isn't any permanent water in the Serengeti, so this is a vital resource for them.
Thank you. And it's interesting that you mentioned the Mara River, because I was actually now coming to that point. One of the most sought after images, or rather whatever tourists come really here to watch, is that action of the wildebeest and the zebras jumping from one side of the river to the other side of the river. A very precarious moment of their lives. But it's not safer on either side, whether it's Serengeti, whether it's Masai Mara, it's equally dangerous. So how do they then ensure that they make that circle while still alive?
So it's again an enigma. We don't know really exactly how they do this, or even how they know where to go, because sometimes the zebras are moving. You've seen them, there'll be lines and they'll be walking single file for hundreds of kilometers. They'll all be walking, following each other. And even if a wildebeest gets lost, it will find its way again. And it's believed that as they walk, they're leaving a scent trail. So even after a year, they'll know where to go. And they'll find there are certain places that they like to cross on this river. But yeah, it's hard to know. We're still doing a lot of research on these animals. You'd think that with 1.5 million of them, we'd have all the answers by now. But can you imagine even trying to follow a single wildebeest in this population? It's almost impossible to know who's who in the population.
And so just give me some timelines. Do we have an idea of how this circle moves around between Tanzania and Kenya?
Well, they start moving in around April, May. They just start moving slowly, slowly. And the herds are very dispersed. It's when they get to Kenya that they become very concentrated. They get to the rivers and somebody in the population decides or makes the first jump into the water. Actually, a lot has been studied about the behavior of the dominant males. Who decides when to cross? It's not the dominant. In fact, if you look at where the wildebeest go, sometimes they'll start pushing off this way and pushing off this way, and then you'll see they'll all follow. They'll actually follow whoever makes the first decision. They're very funny animals, not like lions or elephants where the leader tells you what we're doing. In the wildebeest and some other species, it's just whoever decides. Somebody says, I think we'll go this way, and then they'll all just follow. And a little bit like sheep, the first one jumps, they will all start jumping in the water. It's a very strange mechanism, but it seems to work. I mean, they all come across at the same time. And they have their favorite places where they like to cross. It's very important that we respect those places and we keep them clear of vehicles and people and disturbance. And all these other animals, like the lions, the hyenas, the crocodiles, they also know those places because they've been going there year after year after year.
And it's very interesting that you mentioned how they move about, and it's a very different social structure from other animals like the predators. You would know in a pride of lions who leads and who's in charge, and there's a hierarchy. Even if it's hyenas, there's a hierarchy. There's always animals that are adapted differently in family structures. So these are 1.5 million animals moving together. What structure exists in such a large herd of animals?
Well, they do have their subherds, and they do have their dominant males, and even when you said the ones who stay behind, they're usually dominant males and they have territories. So they have these sub-families within the wildebeest, and it's the males who actually make a lot of the decisions. But when it comes to crossing, these really critical moments, or even the direction, are we going to go left or right? It's whoever is in the front. It's not necessarily the leader of the herd.
So what do you think makes this migration a must-see for anyone who is really into wildlife?
You know, I meet a lot of people all around the world, and they tell me that they are saving for a lifetime to come and see, to witness the great wildebeest migration. It is a must-see because it's almost like, it's a spectacle, it's almost like a theatre unfolding, and every year is different. You cannot predict what exactly is going to happen, and it's not just a bunch of animals just behaving, it's the energy in the system, the movements, the fact that you're going to see from horizon to horizon of wildlife. There's nothing like it anywhere else in the world. You literally, you just see it's dotted with wildebeest and zebras, but also the action of the predators. This is what people love to see. Lions are the most social cat of all the big cats. They live in these fantastic prides, and they're so entertaining to watch. Even when they're just sleeping or playing, we are mesmerized. I think it's in our DNA to be mesmerized by lions, because humans evolved with lions, and of course wildebeest, because we evolved here in East Africa. So I think that the pull is partly genetic. It's in our DNA, it's tattooed in our DNA that we are part of this ecosystem. We came from this part of Africa, and we can't help it. We feel this calling to come to East Africa. And people will literally spend their last, like they'll be in their 90s and they'll say, but I have to see the migration before I die. So I'm really, really amazed that Kenya and Tanzania have been so successful in preserving this migration. You know, there was a former migration also in other countries in Southern Africa, and those migrations have disappeared because of interventions on the land, preventing the animals from moving. So we're very lucky that our governments have recognized the importance of this migration. They're protecting it, and they're promoting visitation, which enables us to finance the management and protection of this ecosystem. But it's really a once-in-a-lifetime thing to come and see. It's better than any movie you ever saw. It's the sounds, it's the smells, it's the feeling, it's the air, it's the drama of the weather, the light. I mean, the sunsets, the sunrises. You can't get that anywhere else in the world.
Yes, and I'm very fascinated about the lions myself as well. And during our stay here, we have seen quite some herds, beautiful herds, some big prides rather, some big prides and other relatively smaller prides. Often it's the females that take care of the cubs and do the hunting, and the males rarely come back to the unit. They're always patrolling their territory, try to protect the pride. But then, how important is it that this migration continues happening just to ensure the survival of these other predators that also, I think, look at the migration as a time of plenty?
Yeah, absolutely. I love lions too, by the way. I think they're amazing. And I think humans are the only creature that thinks that males are the most dominant, because even in the lions, it's the lionesses who are making a lot of decisions. The males are, of course, essential, but it's the females and their prides that are the heartbeat of the whole predator system. They are territorial. The males have territories and the females have territories, and they literally lie and wait for this migration to come. They might move a little bit, they might go to certain places where they know the animals will be passing, but they don't go on the full migration. So for these animals to sustain their populations, and the cubs, I'm sure you've seen loads of cubs, whether it's lions, cheetahs, leopards, wild dogs, hyenas, they all depend on the migration coming through. And it's not just them, the crocodiles. This is the top predator of the water, the second largest reptile on earth. This animal also depends on the migration. But the amazing thing with crocs is that they will wait for the migration, they will eat as many of those wildebeest as they can, and then they will kind of go into a form of I don't know, we call it turbid state. They can slow right down. They can actually stay without eating for a whole year if they have to. They will just wait for the sound of the hooves for the next migration, and then they'll wake up again and they'll go out and hunt again.
Thank you. And the crocodiles are a very interesting animal with that power, that bite force. Of course, living in the same habitat as the hippopotamus, another very, very big predator that also has a very strong bite force, and yet they tolerate each other. They live together as though they don't clash. They do. We have actually seen a clash during our stay here between a crocodile and a hippo. But then throughout their stay, mostly they tolerate themselves. But then again, the crocodile will not miss a chance to prey on the smaller, the baby hippo, the hippo calves, yeah?
Yeah, that's very true. Crocodiles are, they're actually living dinosaurs in reality. The species has been the same for 200 million years, unlike all these other creatures that you're seeing here. So they're very, very ancient predators, and they are not going to waste energy if they don't have to. So they won't go after a big hippo. There's no point. It's not going to be able to kill a big hippo. But they will go after baby hippos if they are desperately hungry. But they will mostly go after injured wildebeest and other animals that are in the water. I've seen them even catching small animals as they're crossing the river. And they're just extremely, their biology is so incredibly well primed for the way that they feed. They can gorge themselves and they can sit with that food in their belly for months without needing to feed again. So there's no point of going and hunting when you're full anyway, right? So, and that's why the crocs here are so huge. They can hold so much food in that belly of theirs. And then all they need to do is lie in the sun and warm up, because they're cold-blooded animals. They lie in the sun, warm up, open their mouths, and just act, you know, they're digesting. Most of the time they're just digesting. Yeah. But if there's no food, they'll stop digesting. They'll just sleep and wait.
You bring it out very clearly how important this migration that happens every year is to the lifeline of the Masai Mara National Reserve and the animals that are here in terms of the predators that reside in this park. But I would also imagine the migration also affects other animals differently. For instance, how do the elephants react to the arrival of these millions of animals?
So elephants with those enormous ears, which are sound receptors, we've seen them, they don't like being around when they're a wildebeest. And I think it's the sound. I think it must drive them insane to hear that. I don't know if you've ever slept near a herd of wildebeest.
No.
It's so annoying. It's going to drive you insane because they're just constantly bleating all night long. Even if they're lying down, they're still bleating because they're constantly trying to keep in touch with each other. Like, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Elephants go up the escarpment and into the forests, and that's also where they have their babies. They tend to not want to hang around. So although there are over 3,000 elephants in this part of the ecosystem, I've only seen one herd so far. And most of them have just taken off, and they're just going to go and wait, wait it out, and then come back down when the wildebeest have gone.
And just to put it into perspective, the elephant is the biggest land mammal on Earth. So as Dr. Kahumbo says, they have massive ears that can detect the slightest of sounds from a very long distance. So it would make sense that they get disturbed by some of these noises because it's millions of animals coming in. But then again, it's also interesting that they would give way to these animals as soon as they're disturbed a little and they want their peace. And I would imagine they're also trying to ensure the protection of their calves, because elephants also take care of their calves for a very long time. I think one of the, even having one of the longest gestation periods, they also have one of the longest periods just caring for their calves, especially if they're female. I think they stay in the herd for quite a long, huge part of
They stay in their herds
lives.
for life.
Yes.
Actually, I mean, elephants are very unusual of most of these ungulates because they have a family structure led by the matriarchs who stay with their daughters and their daughters. It's only the males that leave. And or if a family gets very big, they might split up and they might form two matriarchs. But they have this ability to hear, like you said, over vast, vast distances, kilometers. An elephant can hear from 10, 12 kilometers away. So you can imagine how the sound of those bleating wildebeest must interfere with whatever they're communicating to each other, but we can't hear it because it's in a sound wave that is not detectable to our ears. And when the wildebeest are here, there are so many predators because all of the lions and hyenas are also congregating, and they will go for baby elephants. And the baby elephants are quite vulnerable, especially at night. Elephants' eyesight is not great. It's mostly their hearing and their sense of smell. And so they would want to actually make sure that their babies are really safe.
Would you say the elephant is one of the best adapted animals to the savannah? The hearing, the trunk, which is a multi-purpose tool, just the detection of the slightest of shakes on the ground by their massive hooves. Would you say it's like one of the best adapted animals to the savannah?
No. I would say elephants are one of the best adapted animals to Africa. All habitats, right? They live in savannas, they live in forests, they live on mountains, they live in water. Go to Amboseli, they're in the lake. They are very, very highly adapted to every kind of ecosystem, which is why elephants are so successful. You know, African elephants on this continent used to be in the millions of elephants in all different habitats. The wildebeest are the most highly adapted, if you think about it, and that's why their numbers are so huge. Their body shape, short back legs, means that they can run and keep running for days without expending that much energy. They can also consume water and keep going for days just on one drink of water. Their ability to have their babies all in one go and live in these huge herds, which is a major defense against predators, and they move together as one. They're so like highly attuned to the savannah, even what they eat, the grass, their ability to detect rain and find the new grass. They are supremely adapted to the savannah. And this particular ecosystem, if you took out certain species, the trees might come back, and the wildebeest won't like it so much in trees. They prefer to be in the open grasslands, and they drive the sustenance of the savannah by their grazing behavior. Their hooves are constantly cutting the ground, allows water to percolate. Their poop is fertilizing. That's why it's such an insanely productive ecosystem. I don't know if you know, but just outside of the Mara, where the wildebeest used to go, we now have wheat farms. It's the only place in the world where you can have 3 harvests of wheat because of the natural fertilization which has been going on for thousands of years from the wildebeest. So they have been sustaining and improving the quality of the soil, which makes it extremely productive, which is why you have a higher density of mammals here than anywhere in the world, and also the highest diversity of herbivores than anywhere in the world is right here in the Masai Mara.
So what would happen if this migration fails to happen? How would it impact the migrating animals and the other animals that, you know, take a lifeline from that?
So it's a big concern, actually. Developments around the Mara could impact on the actual migration itself. And if the migration was stopped, you're talking of removing a pump of energy and nutrients that has been going on for thousands. Which the predators themselves are a major part of the system because they are controlling the numbers of all the other herbivores, right? So the lions, the hyenas, the cheetahs, they're all playing a role in that. But as the wildebeest stop moving, the nutrient cycling would also decline. The vegetation would probably change. It would not be as diverse. What's so unique here is you've got grasslands, you've got savannas, you've got these riverine vegetation, and so many different animals can live here together. All of that would change. And I don't think anyone can predict exactly what it would look like, but it would be simplified. You'd have fewer species would be able to survive and fewer numbers.
That's quite a big concern then. But what is the biggest threat then to the migration?
Oh, the biggest threat to the migration is for sure development around the actual Mara Serengeti ecosystem. So the animals need to be able to push through and move without any interference. Roads are a major barrier. There was once an amazing migration from Nairobi National Park all the way to Amboseli. We've forgotten it because it happened when we were children, but there were over 100,000 wildebeest migrating. The building of one highway stopped that migration and the population just collapsed. It plummeted. Now there's about 2,000 wildebeest left, the ones that are not migratory. So that is what could happen here. If there are developments like roads, railways, anything that the wildebeest perceive as an interference or an interruption. And it's not that they can't cross a road, they just don't want to go near a road, a tarmac road. They don't want to go near it, and it's not known why, but most of the time they will stay within 2 kilometers, they won't go closer. So if you go onto the major highways in Kenya, you'll often see dead zebras and other animals which are crossing and get hit by cars. You'll rarely see a dead wildebeest. They just don't want to go near the roads.
So development, combine that with...
And of course expansion of farming. So we're taking away land from these animals. That's a major threat. In the past, the wildebeest actually population crashed because of diseases that were brought in by the British, rinderpest in particular. So in the 1900s, they brought in rinderpest, which actually impacted on cattle and wildebeest and many other species of that group, the bovines. So disease could come back as a major threat. If rinderpest was to emerge again, it could have a major impact on the wildebeest.
So assuming these threats come alive, combine that with the current, one of the biggest threats even to humanity, climate change, what happens then?
Okay, obviously climate change is a major threat. You know, like I said, this river is a lifeline. Imagine if the source of this river, which is the Mao, imagine if that forest disappeared with climate change and the river dried up. Then you wouldn't have the source of water for the wildebeest. That would have a huge impact. But climate change would also mean the whole savannas would not be getting enough rainfall to sustain the pastures, the trees, and of course all the water in the soil column. It could also lead to massive erosion, you know, as we've seen in other parts of Kenya, where you have overgrazing because the animals are now grazing down. There's so little left to eat. They're grazing it right down to the soil, taking out the actual tubers of the grass, leading to exposure of the soil erosion by wind, or when it rains, all that fertile soil gets washed into the rivers, and this river will just become a mud, sludgy mud that will just flow out to Lake Victoria in this case. Those are some of the real challenges. You know, we haven't talked much about the river, but this river is not just a lifeline for the wildebeest, it's a lifeline for all the animals in this river. So it goes to Lake Victoria. There are loads of fish. It's one of the most diverse fish populations in the world, is in Lake Victoria. Some of those fish migrate up the river all the way to the Mao, where they spawn. And then the babies come back down, back to the lake. They have to do that migration. So the loss of this river will impact on some amazing fish. One is called the elephant fish. It's actually a fish with a phenomenal long trunk, you know. So there are things which we don't see, but we shouldn't forget are also vital parts of this whole ecosystem.
So just give me a picture. Are there any animals, whatever species, whose population is constantly growing from the little research that we have done so far as humanity?
Wild animals whose populations are growing. Oh yeah, cockroaches. Lots of pests, numbers are growing. And a lot of that has to do with our invasion and destruction or damaging, degradation of landscapes. Lots of invasive species which have been moved around the world, either on ships or on planes or intentionally or unintentionally. Those species are expanding. Some of them are very, very dangerous. I've seen some here. There's a nasty noxious weed that is called Parthenium. I've seen it here in the Mara, which is really shocking. It's a species that is invading different parts of Africa. It doesn't come from Africa, but what it does is it occupies the ground. It puts down its seeds are microscopic, so you can't even, you know, you can't remove it very easily. They float in the wind. They get on your cars, and this plant is noxious. Animals which eat it end up getting sick, or if it's their milk becomes very sour. So for livestock, this is a very important livestock production area, it could lead to the milk going sour and then damaging the whole, you know, milk industry. So these are the things which I would say are growing in numbers, is mostly pest species or invasive species which are growing very rapidly.
And with your rich background of wildlife conservation, what role should humans take to ensure that our great-grandchildren are able to enjoy the sightings that we enjoy today?
You know, we're so privileged to be here in the Mara. Very few Kenyans have ever been here. We have been promoting it as a tourism experience, which is fantastic. It is an incredible attraction. It's very important for our reputation as a nation globally. It's produced, I don't know, thousands of films are made here in the Masai Mara. So there's no question how important it is. But if Kenyans and Africans don't come here and don't see this and don't experience it, don't fall in love with what we have here, then we risk losing it. We recently heard politicians talking about converting the Nairobi National Park into a development zone for the city. That could happen here, because if the people don't appreciate what it is and they don't feel it's benefiting them, then they won't place any value on it. So for the Mara, I would call on the county government to make the Mara free for all children. And I call on the Kenya government, make all national parks free for children so that their parents can bring them. The cost is too high for a family to come here. But if you said it's free for kids, kids would pull their parents will still pay, they'll fall in love with nature, they will explore, discover is not just animals and this incredible climate, it's the culture. The people of this landscape have been here for thousands. They've played a key role in shaping this whole ecosystem. And when you learn that, you know, I told you my spirit animal is an otter, but my totem in my clan is the warthog. And I can't help seeing warthogs differently now. I love warthogs. I never used to think about them. So imagine if every kid in Kenya could come here and find their totem animal or their spirit animal, fall in love, and then maybe think about careers in conservation. You could be a pilot, you could be an artist, you could be a musician, you could be a ranger. There are so many careers. It's the one thing that we have that is unique in the world. We can still be an IT giant, we can still be an industrial giant, but no other place in the world has Masai Mara but Kenya. So it's one of the most important treasures of this country, and to protect it, we need all hands on deck.
And let me just veer out of the Masai Mara a little bit. There are the flamingos of Lake. We do have cameras planted in Lake Bogoria, as we're just trying to also showcase other parts of Kenya with a very rich listing of wild animals. When it comes to birds, where is our standing as Kenya?
You know, Kenya is one of the world's mega diverse countries. There are not that many of them. It means that we have more diversity than most places in the world, and it's due to this incredible rich terrain we have and the Rift Valley cutting right through. So Lake Bogoria is right in the bottom of the Rift Valley. It's one of the saline lakes, and it's also considered to be a flyway for migrating birds. Flamingos are migrating, so they're moving up and down the Rift Valley, but there's also hundreds of species of birds which come from Europe and even the Arctic, and they fly down through the Rift Valley, all the way down Africa. So we're an incredibly important country when it comes to nations' diversity and migrations.
Good. So even just as we continue with the conversation, I have so much that remains lined up for you. We are in the Mara, but you listen to us also introducing Lake Bogoria cameras to just showcase some of the birds that are there, including flamingos. We are also in Samburu National Park. So special about Samburu National Park?
Oh, Samburu National Park is a beautiful part of the country. It's northern Kenya, and it's got some of the same species as here, but their own versions. So if you look at the gelated giraffe, not the Maasai giraffe, they're very beautiful. I don't know if you've seen them. They're the biggest of all the giraffes. We also have the Grevy's zebra, which is a critically endangered type, very beautiful.
Boasting a rich listing of flora and fauna, these national game parks and reserves offer some of the most intriguing spectacles of the wild. But in the jungle, all
lands, we've discovered so much how this connection between elephants is, because it probably had thousands of years. So some very, very special place. See elephants, lions, leopards, cheetah, and of course great zebra and the giraffe. It's like here, the big river running, right? Very beautiful.
They don't question before I let you go. First of all, going to still have you for the days. Thank you so much. Still a lot, I know, our audience who are watching us across the different platforms on our digital forms will have. We're going to sample some of those questions probably tomorrow. But right about now, I jumped to bring you a different perspective of this broadcast. So we also got a hold of Kenya's principal Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. That is PS John Olol Tua, who my colleague Penina had a sit down with just to try and understand more about the Masai Mara, the migration, and the authority influence here in this park in those efforts, not only to conserve the ecosystem, but to also ensure that these animals are alive for generations to come. Penina.
Well, seated here along this scenic Mara River, covering this live migration of the wildebeest, we have a very special guest today, the PS, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism. This is somebody who's grown here in Narok County. Sir, just give us a background of this area. Thank you very much for joining us, but also give us a background of this area. You grew up in this area. You saw Masai Mara back then.
Yes.
You see Masai Mara now. Paint us a picture of how Masai Mara was at the time when you were a small boy growing up versus how it looks now.
Thank you very much. My name is Olol Tuajon. I'm the PS for Tourism. Let me say I'm indeed very happy to talk to you along this scenic river in this very scenic hotel. And yes, true, I come from Narok. And Masai Mara, many years back, of course, was a little bit much not like today, because human activity was quite less. I think before the onset of our visitors coming to see the animals, it was just the Maasai who were grazing along with the lions and the buffaloes and the zebras and so on, together with their cattle, especially before the place was declared a national reserve. So there was a very totally different life where the animals and the human beings and interact with the wildlife. But with the onset of declaring this place as a national reserve, obviously it changed because there was now restriction, which means that there is no grazing of livestock and sheep and goats in this particular area. There is a different management from that particular time when it was just roaming from wherever the animals were roaming. By the way, they were roaming beyond the boundaries of the park, all the way to all the other parts of Narok. And so that time it was not very much inhabited the way it was today. But there is really no big change because the animals that used to be there are still the same animals. Maybe what could have reduced probably is maybe the numbers and so on, but not very much. So the only distinction is that before this place was declared a national reserve, the people and the animals could roam freely. But right now there's a management plan which puts the boundary between the national reserve and the human settlement.
Okay,
Yes.
so we'll come to that in a short while.
Yes.
But we also know that Kenya's tourism, I mean, this Masai Mara, of course, is one of the biggest draws of tourists for Kenya.
Yes.
And
That's tourist. Of course, with the COVID-19, it came down to around 870,000. Then it went to 1.4 million. Of course, in 2023, it went to 2 million, and 2024, it went to 2.4 million. Currently, if you look at the half year, the projections look like, I mean, it's already over 926,000, which means that if we go up to the end of the year, we are likely to attain the 2.8 or 3 million that we are targeting. There are many factors that are attributed to this. The first is the continuous originality of the Kenyan product. You know, the fact that conservation has been done means that our wildlife, beaches and so on are still good the way they used to be. And so we have a lot of repeat visitors. So point number one is that the authenticity of the experience still stands and we have repeat visitors. Secondly, we have also done a lot of marketing through the Kenya Tourism Board, where we do road shows, exhibitions, we attend international conferences. We also do influencers. We have influencers who do the marketing element and so on. So the second component that has really driven the numbers is the marketing, which has really gone up, both digital and also physical, as I have indicated. Secondly, is our airspace. There is a lot of the Ministry of Transport, of course, have been playing a key role in ensuring that new airlines are opened up and given access to be able to come to the Kenyan airspace, and that one therefore is giving an opportunity for people to travel very easily to the country. The cruise ship sector is also growing, and it has actually added to the numbers that are actually coming. The other very critical element that has made the numbers to go up is MICE. There has been a lot of international conferences that have been held in Kenya. The Africa Climate Summit, which was held at KICC, and many other conferences that are being held in Kenya, particularly because of the global image of this country, and of course the cordial relationship that His Excellency the President is establishing with different countries across the world, that is making a number of people to trust this destination and to come. There has also been a lot of peace and resilience across the region that is really attracting people to be able to come. But above all is the cultural element of the Kenyan people, which is very warm, which is very friendly, and which makes every person who comes here always long to come back. And therefore, we have also a lot of partnership with different countries. A very good example is the China Media Group, where we do this kind of partnership between our country and different countries across the world, including signing of MOUs on tourism promotion and so on, just to mention a few. So there are many factors that have led to this growth in tourism, and which I project that it will continue to grow.
Okay.
Yes.
So just last week, Masai Mara made it to the Guinness Book of Records UK. Yes. I mean, no doubt, this, where we are, is the jewel in Kenya's tourism crown. So there's obviously a big interest in Masai Mara from tourists, but how do you balance that versus concerns of over-tourism and environmental concerns? How does your ministry strike that balance?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to echo my happiness, just like the happiness of everybody else. The fact that this place was declared and put in the Guinness Book of Records as one of the most spectacular places in the world because of the wildlife migration, and of course the beauty and of the Masai Mara in its entirety. Now your question is really good, because if we do not protect this environment, probably the good that we have already attained may be lost. And so how we are balancing, number one, the Narok County government in liaison with the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife has actually put in place a Masai Mara management plan. This management plan outlines, the number of hotels that are expected to be built here, the number of vehicles that are allowed to move around, and even how they are supposed to move. And it also clearly stipulates how the conservation efforts are supposed to be done. So, number one, that has played a very critical role in ensuring that this area is conserved. Secondly, is the cordial relationship between the government that is around this area. You may be aware that we have a lot of conservancies around this area, which has actually given a kind of a buffer zone for the park, so that even the animals are able to move to the conservancies. And because these conservancies are also benefiting, the local communities are benefiting, they have also known and understood the importance of the wildlife, and therefore they also participate in the conservation efforts. Number three, we are also doing a lot of capacity building of the communities to understand how to live with these animals, what they need to do to ensure that the rivers are not degraded. You are aware the Mau Forest, the government has taken a very big role in fencing of and reforesting the area that will be protecting this Mara River to make it much better and therefore make this place comfortable. And so the tree planting element that is also being encouraged around. And of course, last but not least, because of time, we are also encouraging the eco lodges. All the lodges that are being constructed in the Mara are now expected to meet certain standards. In fact, the Tourism Regulatory Authority is now very keen, and the NEMA, they are very keen to, when they are licensing, when they are giving out, allowing people to construct, we like them to do what we call eco-friendly. Like this hotel, what it has done, you can see that they have not interfered with the environment, and also they are promoting a lot of eco-friendly technologies. And so those are some of the, if there was time I would give you more, but those are some of the efforts that are being put in place to be able to ensure that this jewel is not lost. Yeah, because the government is really focusing on it. And as a Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, particularly the State Department for Tourism, we are also ensuring that whatever comes up, we are able to market and educate the people and so that they understand what needs to be done.
Okay.
Yes.
One of the biggest threats here, excuse me, in Masai Mara is climate change.
Yes.
What is the ministry doing to mitigate the effects of climate change and ensure this vital ecosystem is protected?
Thank you very much. The Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife, first of all, is working very closely with the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. One, in the tree planting, is being continued as much as possible, just as I indicated earlier. And secondly, the ministry is working very closely with the other development partners, conservationists. There are a number of development partners, especially around this area, who are taking a key role in ensuring that the communities are educated, they are empowered, their capacity built, and they are also guiding on any areas that need to be done to ensure that the environment is not downgraded. So those are part of the things that are being done.
Okay.
Yes.
As we wrap up,
Yes.
what does this collaboration between CGTN Africa, CGTN Africa live, broadcasting live what is happening here at the Great Wildebeest Migration, what does that mean for Kenya's tourism sector?
Wow. It means marvelous. It means something very special. If you look at the number of the Chinese tourists, for example, last year we had over 90,000, and we can see that between now and between January and May, we are already over 33,000. So first of all, this platform gives us an opportunity to market this destination in China particularly, and also across the globe. And obviously, this collaboration will give us a very good opportunity to market our products, whether it is the beach product, the cultural product, the Masai Mara, the sports tourism. It gives the destination some kind of focus, which probably without it we will not be able to get it. So obviously, it will attract as many numbers as possible.
Okay.
Yes.
And one final question, because I know the permanent secretary has to leave. I think I hear his chopper.
Yes.
You have grown in this area.
Yes.
You're the permanent secretary for the Ministry of Tourism.
Yes.
Which is your favorite animal?
Wow, that is now as the PS for tourism, all the animals are my favorite.
But surely you have to have one that you love the most.
That I love the most. I think I love the giraffe.
Why?
It's tall, visionary, sees very far, also very friendly, doesn't cause a lot of harm. But if I were to go outside the cow, as I must say, yeah. But now as PS for tourism, I love all the animals because that is really our heritage. And I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity. And we really want to thank you so much for this collaboration.
Thank you so much for all of us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Interesting. Collaborations, conservation, and responsible tourism. Just some of the takeaways from Principals on Olol Tours interview with who is back on set. Penina, you seem to enjoy that interview. I'm sure you're also enjoying our stay here in the Mara. But as we just wind up, what for you is your spirit animal?
First of all, can I first say, before I talk about my spirit animal, is that when he mentioned the giraffe, I found it actually very interesting because not many people really do talk about the giraffe, you know. Yeah, and Jared, do you have giraffes?
Tell me.
No, I asked you.
No, I don't know. I'm trying to remember, and it's not coming.
It's called a tower of giraffes.
Nice.
That's because of the... And while you and Dr. Kahumbu were on air, we actually had a tower of giraffes right behind you guys. Yeah, it's just that the cameras couldn't be able to reach there. But it's so huge, so gentle, and I feel like it is the closest to human being. Intelligence, it's very, very intelligent. It's a very nurturing animal. Dr. Kahumbu talked about that. It's the only animal I know that actually mourns its dead. You know, I remember one time I was in the elephant they are called Echo, and unfortunately, it's
Kenya is home to some of nature's best renowned wildlife habitats. Boasting a rich listing of flora and fauna, these national game parks and reserves offer some of the most intriguing spectacles of the wild. But in the jungle, all lives have one common mission: survival. From July 25th to 27th, CGTN turns its focus to the raw and unforgiving wild habitats across Kenya.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to CGTN's special live streaming program, The Hype, where minds collide and ideas amplify. I'm your host, Zhang Zhenni, coming to you live from China's capital city, Beijing. Well, every year from July to September, millions of grazing wild animals gathered to form a mighty migratory army. So for the next 3 days, which is from July 25th to 27th, from 8 to 12 GMT, which is 4 to 8 p.m. Beijing time, we will take you to the vast African savanna where you can experience this adventure yourself. And along our journey today, we've got two amazing guests. Well, why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Liu Song. I'm currently working in WWF as a program director for combating illegal wildlife trade. Great to see you all.
Welcome. And Beatrice?
Hello, everyone. I'm Beatrice Benjamin Fraeli. I'm coming from Tanzania as an assistant lecturer from the College of African Wildlife Management, but also I am a PhD student in animal ecology at Northeast Forest University. Welcome all.
Thank you so much for joining our show. I already start to feel that today is going to be so entertaining, exciting, and also enlightening. And for our viewers, you can watch this episode on multiple social media platforms, including CGTN's Facebook, YouTube, X, Chinese WeChat, Weibo, as well as multiple Chinese CGTN official website and app. And please feel free to leave comments below, and if you have any questions during this program, and also if you have any feeling you'd like to share with us. So without further ado, let's start today's show. Well, you know, we've been watching this live stream for 2 hours now, and for me personally, even though it's just been 2 hours, and even though I'm sitting here in Beijing, I already feel such moved and touched by this vibrant life force emerging from this field, from the wild, from this migration. So Beatrice, my question for you is that, can you tell us more about this great migration? For example, what's the scale of it, how many animals are involved, etc.?
Oh, thank you very much. The Great Wildlife Migration happens annually. This is a mass movement of ungulates moving from one country to another in a broader ecosystem, the Serengeti Mara ecosystem. And that area is really huge. And the total area covered by these wildlife, I mean wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle, is around 1,000 kilometers square. And they move from the Tanzanian side all the way to the Kenyan side. I mean, crossing different paths and creating an interesting scenery.
Wow, such a massive assembling of wild animals. It marks our journey year after year. I think behind us lies an intricate set of natural laws at work. So my question for you, Mr. Liu, is that what triggers this migration? For example, is it temperature? Is it rainfall? What is it? And is the time fixed or just happen at random time of the year?
Yeah, I think the triggering factor is about the water and the grass, the resources. You know, those two factors actually they are heavily dominated by the rainfall patterns in the Serengeti and the Masai Mara. You know, so they actually for the animal itself, they intricately they just following the rain. So where the rain happens, that means the grass is going to be growing, and they have abundant food. So the rain is also kind of like a signal, to call for the groups, like the wildebeest or zebra, the food is coming, be ready, let's move on. So I think the food is the factor that, heavily dominate the migration process in the whole ecosystem. Yeah.
in another word, can we say that it's also the climate that's pushing this migration?
Yeah, I think climate is a factor, gonna be heavily affects the timing of the rainforest for the rainfall in the ecosystem. So which means, for the migration process, it is actually not a preset time. That means they're gonna be changed. Depends on when the rainfall gonna be happen. So it is not a preset time. It may be just 1 week earlier or 2 weeks later. Completely depends on the circle of the rainfall patterns.
Oh, okay. So it's not a fixed time of the year. It's like it changes according to the climate.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. It is true that all the species, every creature in the world are strive to adapt to the nature. And Beatrice, you're both an expert in wildlife management and also a Tanzania. I'm curious, how many times have you been there to witness this migration yourself? And how does it feel?
Oh, thank you very much. That's very interesting. It's incredible to see this wildlife all together with zebra and gazelles moving. The number itself is so fascinating. More than 1.5 millions of the wildebeest themselves and hundreds of thousands of zebra and gazelle. So it's really something that everyone would wish to see. It's so fascinating, seeing the animals, but also seeing the carnivores that accompany them, and also seeing the vultures that are also celebrating this movement or event. And remember, it's throughout the year. They'll continue moving non-stop. It's really indicating the resilience of these animals.
I really love how you say resilience.
So
That's how I feel about this also. What about you, Mr. Liu? How many times have you been to this migration?
I've been to Africa, specifically the Masai Mara, 4 times.
Wow.
I mean, it is a long story, but 15 years ago, I was actually privileged to have the chance to visit Masai Mara. And I saw the spectacular views of the migration, and I feel like completely drawn by this view.
Wow, I started so much envy, you guys. I'm so envious. Well, I can't help but notice that whenever we mention this word migration, sometimes it carries a sense of solemn grandeur. So I think that comes from these countless challenges or setbacks they might face by its participants, for example, the wildebeests or the zebras. So my question for you, Mr. Liu, is that what are the threats or challenges those animals are facing during their journey?
Yeah, I mean, the journey itself is spectacular, it's marvelous. And I mean, it is really full of the different types of the species, but even though this is a really lovely journey, but however, you have to be realistic and face with the dramatic changes or dramatic challenges you have to, dealing with the dailies. And the first will be definitely the predators, because the predators, they're actually either like the lions, they were just hiding in the watering area, and also for the cheetah and also for the other species, they might just follow the herd. So the predator is definitely one of the major challenges that for the migration process, like the wildebeest or zebra, they have to deal with. That's the first one. The second one would be the water and the food availability. So when you do the migration process, you need to follow the water, follow the food, and if there's shortage of that, that means the death penalty, especially for the newly born species, or the weak worms. So that's the second. The third would be the climate change or weather, irrational weathers like the droughts or severe, flooding, etc. This would be the highly increase the chance of the wild beast being killed, either by swallowing by the rivers or the lack of the waters, and that's the third. And the last one, I would say, like also the impacts from the humans, because when you look at the Masai Mara, it is not just the animals. They also have the local communities in there, and also people are living in there, and they have the agricultural activities and also grazing activities, and also sometimes they're just putting the fence, to keep the safety of the positions that they had. So that is also causing the casualty to the death of the wild beast or zebras, etc. So human is also another factor we need to put into consideration. Yeah.
Well, after hearing you say all of this, I feel like, is it right to say that for those wildebeests and zebras, it's kind of like winning a lottery when they're crossing the river?
Yeah, you can definitely say that, because when you join the migration process, you need to be vigilant and also, like living on the risk on a daily basis, and then you have to be like really careful. Even when you're grazing, following the water, you need to be extremely cautious about that. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the wildebeests, as we can see here on the screen, the wildebeests, I think, are undoubtedly the protagonists of the migration. Yeah. I've heard that they spend much of their lives on the move, which means it is said that newborn babies, they can stand within 3 minutes, they can run within 15 minutes, and they can keep pace with the herd within just a day. So Beatrice, my question for you is, can you outline this annual routine of the wildebeests for us, like their life circle? What does it look like?
Oh, that's really interesting to understand that, in fact, the wildebeest are the main character in that event, based on their number and the role they play. So we agree that they are the main character. And looking at the pattern of movement, we can start from when they come to the southern part of Serengeti, and that's December to March. It's the time they're in the southern part of Serengeti and also in the northwestern side of Ngorongoro Conservation Area. And at this time, December to March, in February there, most of the calvings happens. We say they tend to show synchronized birth, which again is explained by, it's an adaptation that they give birth at the same time, in a way satiating the predators. So some will survive, in fact, the majority will survive, and some will be food to the carnivores that are joining the event. Now from there, all these months, they consume the grasses, which are really nutritive, which have provided nutrients to the calves, and start moving, going to the western corridor. That's April. So they start moving, going to the western corridor, and that's also going to some central part of Serengeti, to the Sorenera, but also the Moru Kopjes, and then they continue moving, and by May, they are in the western corridor. It's like a corridor within there. So by May, this is the time, again, they spend some time here, briefly. Of course, at this time is when also rooting happens. Oh. Yeah, the rooting season where you have the males and females mating, and yeah, life goes on. So you might be lucky to see a number and a lot of noise from these bulls as they fight for the females. And from the western corridor, they now start going northward. And by the end of June, they are almost to the north. And by July, some of them have already crossed the northern part. So July and August, they are at the border there. Some in the north already, some have crossed. You know, that part, the northern part, the border between Masai Mara and Serengeti, the climate is favored by the Lake Victoria Basin. So in there, they have time to spend getting the, of course, grasses there, spending that time. And so some will go direct to Masai Mara, spend some month there until the end of November. And from the end of November now, they start again coming back to the southern part of Serengeti and touching some parts of Ngorongoro Conservation Area. So it should be noted that this includes the zebras, but also the wildebeest and the gazelle. And what is so interesting is this July to August when they are crossing the Mara River. And we say it's the period which is really interesting that they cross through the water, going to the river banks, which is again dangerous. Some breaks their legs, but that has to happen. But again, within the Mara River, there are carnivores, the crocodiles, but they manage to go through all this. And that proves that these are really strong and they are acting according to natural selection. And they are forced to do so. They must move in search of forage, in search of food. And after that, that is improving their fitness. Yes, that's all about that pattern.
Their life circle is just like a clock. It never stops running.
Exactly, and that's why if you're talking of the starting point, you decide on where you start. And you cannot say it will end because they're in a constant move. They don't stop.
Always on the move.
Yes,
always.
They're very smart. And as Mr. Liu said, it's the rainfall pattern. They get the signals and they start moving. And any changes to these rains is likely to also affect the pattern.
Well, I have
in
a
fact,
question.
the phenology,
How
the
do
quality.
they feel this rainfall coming? Is it like they can smell it or?
Exactly. They are perfect, and particularly the wildebeest. The sense of smell is very nice.
Oh, okay.
And also there's another term which we call, biological clock, which means they sometimes synchronize with the external factors like the rainfall, etc. So they can be interestingly, adapt to the environment change. So it is really the beauty of the nature.
It is.
But in other literature, they also say the concentration of salts in water can also explain that they should start moving. Because, when they're leaving, it's already the dry season. And most of the water ponds are so concentrated. So can indicate, we can use that one to also predict that they should start leaving the concentration of water.
It's really clever.
Yeah. And if you are not moving, then you're going to be late for food.
Exactly.
Well, I think speaking of these wildebeests, every year the most spectacular, yet like you said, brutal thing of this migration is definitely be crossing the Mara River. Mara River is a river that originates from Kenya and then runs to, flows into the Lake Victoria. So I'm curious about this lake. Can you tell me about this Mara Lake, Mara River? Like, for example, how do those animals like crossing those rivers? Well, actually, we have a short video can show you how those millions of animals are crossing this river, negotiate this passage with some raw courage and some sheer luck. Let's take a look at this video. Well, I feel bad for that zebra. I think that's just the Mother Nature. Well, as we saw on the title, also we heard that the Mara River actually has a nickname called Africa's Blood River. So, Mr. Liu, can you tell us how does this nickname come from, and can you give us an estimated percentage or figure, like how many wildebeests fail to pass this river?
I guess we call it the Blood River is because it is really completely a different point of view compared to when we're thinking about the rivers. when we think about rivers, we regularly say like, whether it's tranquil or blue river, or like free flowing rivers. But that is completely the different picture in Mas Mara, right?
Yeah.
You can see that, in the previous clips. And the river, firstly, look at the color. The river is actually a little bit brownish because of the sand, and also nutrients. The second thing is a more deeper meaning, which means the blood is referring to the killing actions, or it is imaginary sceneries, like when you saw a lot of the carcass, whether it's from the wild beast or zebra, they are free flowing in the river, and especially when you saw the killing action, that is links with the blood, that makes you thinking of the different ways. That is how it got the name blood river, So that's the first point. Regarding the mortality topics, we know that the wild beast and also zebra are the two largest group that trespassing the rivers, and based on the local findings and also researches, they actually for the crossing alone, there are around like 6,000 to 7,000 wild beasts killed, during the trespassing of the rivers. But I mean, if you look at compared with the total volume, you will get some statistic numbers, which means in an absolute way, it was around like 0.5 of the mortality deaths of the wild beast crossing the river. But if you compare it with the other factor, putting the migration process into the whole consideration, you will find a different picture, because not just the trespassing, the killing happens, but also starvation, also the weather like the droughts, or flooding, it will also kills the animals, and also the zoonotic disease, like the anthrax and also foot-to-mouth disease. These type of the disease, they will also kill because they are travel in groups and they are vulnerable, So putting these factors into the consideration, the total mortality rate for the wild beast, it is actually highly increased to around 20%, sometimes even higher, So that is revealing, a really, a shocking fact. That is, even though we saw like millions of the, wild beasts or animals, crossing the river, but actually they are also on the other side, they are vulnerable, because I mean 20% it is a lot, So that is showing us the fragility of the ecosystem, and also how precious we are possessing this type of the process,
So you were talking about the mortality of those wildebeests. I'm curious, when they're passing the river, are they mostly killed by crocodiles, or are they just like because they got hurt, they got hit by one another, but because of the crowd? What's the main cause of their casualty?
Yeah, there are a number of the factors, contributing to the deaths, the mortality, The first will be definitely, like the Nile crocodiles. They're really good at it, hiding in somewhere and then snap it, out of the water, directly, and then drag down the wild beast. And that's one factor. Another factor is because of the panic, the cause, why they also, travel in a big group. So trample is really regularly things happen every day, when they're traveling in like thousands of them, and most of them, they will get injured. And once they get injured in savanna, the weak ones, they're not going to survive. Like if you broke a leg during the travelings, the crossings, that means you are not going to survive in the savannas, because there are other predators. They were just hiding somewhere, just waiting for the opportunity. And that is the nature process.
Well, Beatrice, I think a lot of viewers share my curiosity, which is when we saw those group of wildebeests crossing the river, are those leading the charge have better chance at survival, or are those following more likely to get across the bank?
Oh, with that one, usually the experienced, it's very common that the experienced that have used the same path tend to lead. But remember that in both the wildebeest, the social organization is not that strict. It's no strong leadership that we see, for example, in other herbivores. So for these ones, it's actually the brave, the strength, experience, which covers the leading ones. But there are also scenarios that we have seen is not the experienced, but any member can lead. And the good thing with these herbivores or the head members, when one goes, the others will follow. They tend to follow. So any can as well initiate, the crossing. Yeah. But they are also what we call the pathfinders, the ones that are experienced, the ones that have used the same path. They have knowledge, and that one. But remember that migration is a behavior which is genetically coded. And then the environment is shaping or is making it happen. So being a genetically coded, it means that it is a must for these species to do so every year. They'll be doing. Remember that we have the wildebeests that do not migrate. They are resident, and we have these ones which migrate, but still they are the same, the white-beard wildebeest. And this subspecies that we have here is the western white-beard wildebeest.
Are those the ones who's also going to crossing the river, or they're just staying there?
Now, in this area, like we see, most of them do cross. But we also have some few groups that remain eating around that area. Yes, we have those groups.
And I'm curious about the leaving, like survival rate. Is it higher rate for those leading ones, those more experienced ones, or those followed ones? Because there are a lot of number of it.
Now, according to the law of nature, the strongest one will survive. The one that can be vigilant enough to take, to make sure the predators are not there, but the one that is strong enough to cross. And remember that the carnivores also are not ready to spend so much of their energy in hunting the very strong one. So we expect that the pathfinder, the strong, the experienced are likely to survive better than inexperienced that will easily go into the water and be taken by the carnivores. So that's what I would say.
Speaking of the crocodile, during our live stream before, we saw some crocodiles laying there leisurely with some hippos. I wonder how do they coexist in such a harmony? Do those crocodiles bite those hippos?
Yeah, regularly, like, they have their own boundaries. Even though they are living in the same river, they are living together, but each of them, they have a clearly sense of the boundaries, do not to interfere with the other boundaries. So that's how they, working together in the rivers. But sometimes they might have this kind of like, killing actions, but it is not that much compared with the regular ones. So yeah, they just have a sense of the respect and also the sense of the territory. Yeah.
Well, some may argue that for African big five, that hippo is supposed to be one of them also. Why is the hippo, we call it big five? Is it dangerous?
Yes.
Really?
The hippo is just one of the most dangerous animals that we have in Africa, killing most people.
Wow.
Yes. The hippos are very dangerous. It's very lucky that most of the daytime they spend in water bodies, but at night they usually go away to graze. They can go even up to 10 kilometers away from the water body at night. And upon encounter, or if it happens that they find anything on their path, they're really dangerous. The bite is very strong. Yeah.
And also, hippo is type of the really aggressive species. Even though, it feeds on the grass, but it can be really feisty, and also they have, the teeth also contains lots of the virus, and once it got bite, it is really severe injury, so yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very informative. And also we saw earlier on this live footage that we saw a lot of wildebeests just gathered around the bank. And what are they waiting for? Like, how do they determine when is the perfect time to get into the water?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Vigilance. is a very important aspect for survive in the wilderness. So when they reach close to the Mara River, I mean, they'll always be vigilant before they take actions, because that determines survival. Yeah. So they take actions, making sure that it is safe. And if there is anything, like we saw in the film, they'll go back.
Oh, really?
So they take necessary precaution. We say they, apart from the fact that they're very strong, they're very resilient, they're so determined, but they take a sort of calculated risk. They make some calculations not to be the easier prey. That's what we can say.
Try to stay alive.
That they cannot stop moving.
Yeah.
Moving is adaptive strategy.
Yeah.
We are saying that these animals are clever, that they make use of different habitats, that food is not enough here, they don't have refrigerator, they go somewhere. The grasses get depleted, they move to other parts to consume and to make sure they survive.
So in that sense, you know, the first one crossing the river is actually taking a lot of responsibilities, because for the leaders, you need to, like, you know, evaluate the situation. You know, is this safe? You know, should I go right now? You know, what speed should I take? You know, etc. You know, so yeah, that's the magic.
And the rest will follow. Once they saw one wildebeest start running, the rest will follow them.
Exactly, because these tend to follow, it's their behavior. And even in the plains, they tend to smell where others have passed, they will follow. It's a kind of communication. So they will follow others. And that has been an adaptive strategy for them. Yeah.
Exactly.
And if there is anything, you'll see them stacked, trying to take precautions before moving on. Yeah.
And I have another question. I'm curious, like, once they pass this Mara River, do they like come back to fetch some water more, like just crossing the river multiple times, or they just stay on the other side of the bank and wait till the right season to come back? Does the crossing river is like one-time thing, or?
They spend time at the river, and we have some going, just continue, drinking from the river, and we have others going to Loliondo, the western side. Yes, but going to drink and coming back, that is normal, especially when water is not available. Yeah. Okay. So they make use of this area, and that's why we say they spend some month in that area before they get the feeling of rains in the southern Serengeti, and then start moving. And when they reach there, they find there is plenty of grasses, rich in nutrients, phosphorus and the rest.
Okay, so that crossing strategy actually reveals their living intelligent, like they're very smart about it.
Exactly.
And beyond risk, Mr. Liu, I'm curious, what kind of irreplaceable ecological role does this Mara River play in East Africa's ecosystem?
Yeah, firstly is, you know, the Mara River is actually connecting Tanzania and also Kenya. So it is really providing waters to the, whether it's, you know, carnivores or herbivores, that actually sustain on that, you know. So that's one direct fact. Another thing is I want to share is that, you know, about the biodiversity that the Mara River creates, because when you look at the river, you know, it actually not only sustains the species in the land, but also species in the water, like the fishes, you know, and also the river itself. It actually creates different types of the ecosystems, which, you know, for the rivers, free flowing, that actually creates the wetlands, and also it sustains the forest along the river banks. So it actually providing a biodiversity hotspot, you know, a biodiversity habitat for the species that rely on, you know, in it. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, I think the Mara River is also matters a lot to the local communities, to the people living in there, whether it's Mara people, you know, or people like, you know, from different locations, they travel to there, because lots of the agriculture activities, it is rely, you know, on the water resources in it, and also, you know, the fishing resources, to get the proteins, etc. So it actually provide a sustainable resources to the local community to thrive. So I think that is, from the ecological point of view, I think the Mara River, it is vital important for the whole, whether not just for the migration, but also for the whole ecosystems in there.
Yeah, I would again add that it's not only the habitat, but also we have seen some animals dying within it, and nutrients is being recycled. And this is taken to the lower land, being deposited as nutrients again. So it's like a center whereby within the ecosystem, apart from supplying water, but also nutrients are being recycled. Animals are dying in there. You have the hippos with their wastes, the feces within it. So it's really nutritive. And once this goes to the surrounding environment, it's nutrients to it, making the area more habitat, more suitable for wild animals, for the herbivores, and in the food chain now also for the carnivores.
Just imagine, if there's no Mara River. Imagine, if there's no Mara River, the migration would be completely different view. And then also, like the all different types of the species, whether it's wild beast or zebra, they are actually rely a lot on the rivers. And like the nutrients also, back to the grassland to feed the animals.
But think of where would these crocodiles, where would these hippos be? It would be difficult. So we should all embrace nature.
Exactly. Well, now we understand the vital and importance of this Mara River played in the East Africa's ecosystem. Now we have a very short clip showcasing you the diversity of this migration. Let's have a look. As we see in this video, I saw so many different species. Especially, I noticed that zebras and gazelles, they often share the frame with the wildebeests. I heard that they've actually formed a so-called three-army coalition or three-army formation. That's the zebra's lead, wildebeests follow, and gazelles tail. So, Beatrice, why does this unique alliance occur, and how do those different species coexist in such a great harmony?
Exactly. These wildebeest, zebra, and also gazelles is one of the best examples of where you have different species coexisting. So you find that these ungulates go all together and they don't compete really, but rather they assist each other. We say it's very little competition among them, but rather facilitating each other. What we see among them, you have the largest one, which is the zebra, followed by the wildebeest, and the other one is the gazelles. So in here, the action of grazing, which is done by the zebra, is consuming, they're adapted to consume more rough grasses that are at a higher height compared to what the wildebeest will select. So in other words, we say that the zebras are unselective grazers. And by doing so, they make grasses available for the wildebeest, but also for the gazelles. So that's like facilitating the grazing. But we also see that among themselves, I mean, when one animal is picking this, the other one this, and the other one, it's like a niche separation, that their niche are different, and therefore they can coexist happily or harmoniously. But the life of these animals that we see, in a group, there are many other benefits. Taking an advantage of having the zebras, which I previously said that the vision is very nice. But on the other side, the wildebeest, the sense of smell is perfect. So it's like a collaboration using tools so as to make life better. So being together becomes so good. But again, for these social animals, in a group is an anti-predatory strategy, whereby we say it's a dilution effect. When there are many, also the predation risk decreases. They decrease the probability. But again, we say they confuse the predators in these large groups. Yeah. So it's so fascinating to see that nature allows them to be, I mean, to live like that, taking advantage of each other, facilitating life. Yeah.
That is really a clever way of the surviving strategy that happens in there.
They're playing their own strength to better live, better survive. Well, witnessing such a raw displays of those wild animals, sometimes there's a deeper question. What compels humans to dedicate their lives to understanding those animals? So my question for you, Mr. Liu, is that what inspired your passion to get yourself into this animal conservation industry?
Yeah, actually, it dates back to 15 years ago, when I was, joining the work. Actually, I was privileged at that time to have the chance, because that is also my first job, to have the chance to travel to Kenya for the first time in my life. So the moment I land in Nairobi, the capital of the Kenya, where I took the cab from the airport to the hotel, during the traveling process, I saw like vultures and other big birds. They were just, a big group, and they were perching on the acacia trees, which are local native trees, in there. And because in my mindset, I never had image like that one, because I was grown in Hunan, rural area, but I can see, find some smaller birds and, regular trees without the thorns. But for that one, they got lots of the large birds, and they're just living in there, just in the city. And they are the acacia trees, they have lots of their sticks poking outside. And I was feel like really shocked, because that is one of the, one of the ways to illustrating the examples of the harmony of the people are living with the nature, in my mindset at that time. So, and then the next couple of days, I had a chance to saw the migration process.
Wow.
And the moment I saw that one, that is definitely opened my eyes, and I never saw that much of the wildlife in my eyes.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and then that feels the connection, and it feels that I was really connected with the nature, and it should be part of my life. Yeah.
Speaking of this, I know, Beatrice, you've been also spending so many years connecting and observing those animals. I'm wondering, has this long time observation and also studying of this wild animal management, does this experience has any impact on your worldview or outlook on life?
Sure, it has. Observing the wild animals, we learn a lot of things. Let's use just one example of this, the wildebeest crossing, migrating, moving throughout the year. it is the reality that amid challenges, amid habitat loss, amid human pressure, and amid any other challenge, including pollution and the rest, that their habitat are sometimes destroyed, but wild animals keep striving. Some keep moving in search of water where it is, in search of grasses. So that's really inspiring my life as well. It's like something to learn, being courageous, being ready to act. So we have a number of things that we can learn and get inspired from wild animals. I have a lot of interesting stories from wild animals. Others cooperatively assisting each other in raising the, raising the offspring. You can imagine they are wild animals, but they know that they should assist each other so the offsprings can survive. We see this in wild dogs, we see in African lions, we see in meerkat. Yeah, and even in others, they have even, they will never breed, but they leave this to other members, like what we see in bees. So fascinating, so interesting. It's a lot of things to learn from wild animals. But the cooperative work that we see in ants, we see in bees, we see in these wild bees, the way they join to attain a particular goal so as to survive. So inspiring.
That's very well said. Well, Mr. Liu, you mentioned earlier that you are working some project that's about anti-illegal trade, wildlife trade. Can you tell us more about it, and also tell us about the organization WWF?
Yeah, so WWF has been working on the environmental issues in China more than 40 years ago. And we have we cover lots of the programs, and including the Yangtze Finless Purpose, and also armored tiger, and the most notable one, the giant panda. And also we work on the forest and also food issue, etc. So it's a really long list of the topics that we covered in China. And regarding the program that I'm working right now is specifically about the combating illegal wildlife trade. And you know that for the trade, when we talk about trade, it is actually a global issue. It is linked with the sourcing, the producing country or sourcing country, transit country, and to the end market. So it is a really long way. And my work, regarding the combating illegal wildlife trade, we actually applied a holistic approach to address the topics. Firstly, is we specifically working with the government a lot, whether it's in the sourcing country in Africa, like the Kenya, we have offices in there, and also Congo, we also have offices in there, etc. So we work with the government, whether it's from the sourcing country, producing country, to the end market, also like China, and so we support them to implement the CITES implementation, to support the CITES implementation, while also we're building the capacity building program to enhance the collaborations with other countries. And you probably heard the Ivory Band. We actually also supporting, to conduct the studies to support the action, etc. So there's a long list. And more particularly, we also work with the China Customs a lot, to deliver the law deterrence messages to the potential consumers. So that's the one layer. Another layer is that, given that trade is involving with so many industries, like the traveling industry, like the logistics, where they transport the illegal products, and then also handicraft, where they collect the different types of the, handicraft, different type of products. They're carving outside, like the ivory, like the rhino, etc. So we are working with this type of the industries closely, and also the e-commerce, industry that provide platforms to facilitate the trade from the vendors to the buyers. So we're working with these industries closely to trying to advocate the transition, where the companies or the industry itself, they can actually doing part of the job, to eliminating the trading or facilitating of the trade, of the illegal products. So we are advocating for the transition, which we call the green transition, make it more sustainable for the species outside, whether it's inside or outside. So that's the second layer. The last layer is we also realizing that demand is really power, kind of like the powerhouse.
Yeah.
It will drive the trade, globally. So we also pay a lot of attention by using the behavior change serums, tailor-made campaigns to trying to trigger the inner action, of the potential issues. But that it is really a complex issue, and it needs a joint synergy, from the government and also from the private sector, and also from the public, to jointly achieve this really ambitious goal.
Well, it's really glad to hear that so many measures has been taken
Yeah.
by your organization. Beatrice, my question for you is also that what about Tanzania? Are there any measures Tanzania has been taken in terms of those anti-poaching or anti-illegal wildlife trade, and what's the result? How's the result so far?
Oh, exactly. Poaching is a very complicated thing, just like Mr. Liu said. It's very complicated. And in Tanzania, the United Republic of Tanzania, through the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism, has set measures to make sure that poaching is curbed at all levels. So the country, Tanzania, has the Tanzania Wildlife Policy of 2007, and in here there are policies on how to handle the matter, but altogether this works with the Wildlife Conservation Act, or CAP 283, in which these wildlife are legally protected wherever they are. And in it, our laws are very strict, very stringent. The penalties are very strong, and that deters poaching. But altogether, we have the anti-poaching strategy. And the strategy that Tanzania is using is to make sure that anti-poaching is controlled multi-sectorally, employing multiple sectors, but with community engagement. Yeah, because it's really complicated. So it's making sure that anti-poaching is stable, or no poaching from the local level, but also to the international syndicate, because that is a complex thing that needs several nations, several sectors, and different discipline within it.
Well, I mean,
and thinking of the outcome of this for Tanzania, yes, I would say that it is working perfect. Wildlife in Tanzania, they are safe wherever they are. And we prove this by using umbrella species, for example. I cannot mention all of them, but I can use the umbrella species, the African savanna elephant. For example, the population through census that are done by the Tanzania Wildlife Research Institute is growing, indicating that these animals are safe and the population is growing and they are comfortable. So we can say we are lucky that the country is doing all it can do to make sure that no poaching from all angles and from everywhere.
It's very relieved to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever discussing those indiscriminate killing and illegal poaching, illegal wildlife trade, one cannot help but feel this profound anguish and outrage. So my question for you all is that, are there any meaningful steps that do you think that humanity can still take to better protect those animals in the future? Maybe start from you.
I think definitely, humanity, in perspective of the humanity, it is one way to addressing these issues. Like especially when we're doing this, the demand reduction campaignings, we actually took a lot of consideration of the social and the cultural norms, into our thinking, because when you deliver the message to the potential consumers or buyers, if you want to trigger the actions, you need to think what is the best way to persuade them not to buy, right? And then you need to looking at this in the multiple layers in perspective of the humanity, whether it's like, from the triggering effects or, by trying to making the inner appealing, like specifically dedicatedly to design the tailor-made messages. So that is how we are thinking, when we're doing this kind of work by triggering the inner actions, we carefully, choosing the wordings while also thinking of the, what could be possibly after the reading this will be triggering the upcoming thinking or appealing, the emotional appealing, to make them to adapt or to change, at least from this mindset level, and then I think that is really a core issue, we need to think about when we are addressing the conservation or whether it's, for the landscape species protection in there.
What about you, Beatrice?
Oh, thank you very much. Conservation is something that needs collective responsibility. And when we conserve nature, we live better. Yeah. So it is something that every one of us should take action wherever someone is, whether it's from what we consume daily, whether it's from the energy that we are using, and the rest of other green aspects that will protect nature for the future generation, making it sustainable. So I would say that it is very important that even with development, as the technology grows, we should make sure that technology is making better for the conservation. Yes. And my feeling is that this should be inherited. Yes. We make sure that from young generations, from the youth, they get imparted this knowledge and they grow up with it so as to inherit and it can be sustainable. Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's also the reason why we're doing this kind of live stream year after year, is because we're using this platform to show our younger generation, to show people all around the world that how cute those animals are and how valuable they are to the world. And I think also from today's talk, one thing that touched me is that I start to realize that protecting those wildlife animals isn't just a mission of you guys who's been, working closely to this industry, to this wildlife management. It's also related to everyone, starting from us, like stop buying those illegal wildlife trade products. That's the easiest thing you can do.
Exactly.
Well, I think a lot of viewers resonate with us. Let's see some of the comments here. Well, we have a comment from Yuan Bao, who's a WeChat viewer, who said, such exciting migration season, and thank you CGTN for letting us distantly watch this for several consecutive years. And if you love animals, do not disturb them. That's very well said.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I saw a very interesting one, is that this cheetah is so leisurely. I mean, we also saw some cheetah earlier. Was like lying down the tree. I have some difficulty distinguish which one's the cheetah, which one's the leopard. Do you have any trick for me to tell?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's very easy to tell the difference. And it's very interesting that these animals, though they may seem alike, but they're different, quite different. From their activities, one is diurnal, the other one is nocturnal. Like, from their behavior, they are quite different. But, so I would say, morphologically, if you look at the cheetah, you can easily tell that this is a cheetah because the morphology is more slender compared to the roundish body that we see in leopard. But just as it faces you, there is a very distinct tear mark that tells you that this is a cheetah. But even the collection of those spots that we see, they are different. Yeah. You find that in leopard, they are like collected in a rosette, we say, while in the other one, they are just single spots. So if it happens that you see the animal standing, you can tell from morphology, but you can also tell from behavior.
Well, I have another question from Phoebe who's asking, is right now the perfect time to watch the migration?
Definitely, just buy a ticket and then go.
Is there any advice you would give for first-timer?
What I would say for the first timer, they're really welcome. It's a life experience. It's something that they'll never regret. It's not seen anywhere else in the world, all this mass movement of animals. So I would call them, they should come. They should go to Serengeti and Masai Mara and see this interesting event.
So my suggestion to Phoebe would be, when you go there, please practice the sustainable travel, which means, during the travel, do not buy the illegal wildlife products. Also, while using less plastics, and then also, realizing the importance of the food. So, take care of the food.
Yeah, I would. Food. Exactly. I would add something, just an advice. So when he goes there, he should respect nature. He should respect the animals and their behavior. He should not go so close to the animals. They have a distances at which they're not comfortable. They have the boundaries when they will not be happy, but should never feed the animals. So should respect all the laws of living with these wild animals, respecting their habitat, but also their behavior, to make sure that they continue to be wild.
Exactly. And not interfere by trying to feed them.
Yes, that's very dangerous. It is unacceptable.
And remember, Masai Mara is not a zoo.
Exactly.
Exactly.
The same with the Serengeti. It's a national park. So once you go there, you leave everything as you found it. If you go there with your package or whatever, you have to go away with it. You leave no trace in the wilderness. And that's working with it sustainably. We have inherited these resources. We should take care of them so that the next generation also will benefit and appreciate nature.
That's very well said and very useful knowledge and notes. And we have another viewer who's from YouTube saying, I really want to come to the scene and see these big guys for myself. I think we will always say welcome. We have very interesting one. That's from Bruce, who's saying Hakuna Matata. Well, can you tell us what does this mean?
Yes, Hakuna Matata is a Swahili word. Meaning no problem. It's okay. Be relaxed. Be comfortable. Enjoy. Hakuna Matata is a very Swahili word which is very common. We even have a song with Hakuna Matata. Yes, and we can dance that song. So it's common even among tourists. And we have even our clothings written Hakuna Matata. It's a welcoming word that you're welcome to Tanzania. Hakuna Matata. Come and enjoy. Come and celebrate.
So in my way, I would translate Hanuna Makuta into Chinese as 一切安好.
But that's very good translation, but it's Hakuna Matata.
Yes.
Exactly, Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, it's peaceful, calm.
That's very interesting topic today. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation. I learned so much, and I really like the vibe, especially surrounded by such a great company by zebras and wildebeests. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Liu and Beatrice. And I think with the company of, you can see the wildebeest and zebra, we've touched this, we felt the heartbeat of this Mara. And also we confronted this harsh reality of poaching. Well, through the circle of this dialogue today, well, leaves us humbled by nature's resilience and endurance. Well, I definitely enjoyed our conversation, and I hope our viewer enjoyed it as much as I did. And please don't go away, stay with us, because we've prepared another 1-hour live image, live signal from Masai Mara National Reserve for you. And also for tomorrow, we're gonna dig into the Maasai people, and also we're gonna try to seek the harmony between progress and preservation. So I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow at the same time. So, well, that's all for today. Let's just tune in. Well, see you next time. Bye-bye. Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.